Welcome back to another video. In today's video, it's going to be a little bit of a different video. So this is my 2010 Core i7 iMac. I use this for my video editing. I do schoolwork on there and all that jazz. When I bought it, it had a problem with the LCD driver board, which if I went past like 1/3 of the brightness, it would go black. Then you'd have to force shut down the computer and start it up again and make sure that it was below 33% on the brightness. I will demonstrate that now, and I'll tell you what we'll be doing in today's video about that. So here we go. You look over at the display here, and don't worry, I have made a backup of the computer, so if this video doesn't work out, I have all the data on this drive here. I came prepared, made a backup before I started recording this video, so we should be fine. Anyway, as I was saying, so if you look, you can see if I get my brightness up, well, it seems to have fixed itself. Well, last time, I even tested this before the video. Okay, well that kind of kiboshes this entire video. Well, I can tell you what I had planned. I'm just gonna mess around with it. Okay, I'm gonna open up some tabs. Oh, there we go. Okay, so it's still broken. It just kind of glitched out for some reason. So that's what happens, as you can see, when the brightness goes past 1/3 or half, depends on the time. This time it got all the way up and stayed there for like 15 seconds or so. But yeah, that happens. You can see it's unresponsive. If you're playing audio and this happens, the audio still keeps playing. So the computer's on. Everything is working in the background, but the display isn't on. So that's a problem with the LCD driver board. So what I have planned for today is I actually bought an LCD driver board to replace in this iMac. Let's get into it. So I'm just gonna shut down the computer, and I'm actually gonna bring it upstairs to a table, because this desk is not deep enough to be able to work on an iMac on it, and I need table space. So I'm actually gonna bring it upstairs, where you will join me when I've finished disconnecting everything from this Mac and bringing it up there. Let's shut it down. Okay, I'm not sure if you heard that, but there you could hear the fans spin down and the computer shut off. Now that that's all shut off, let's get it upstairs. Okay, see you later. So now we're upstairs, we're at the table, we are ready to do our repair. So I'm just going to flip the Mac on its back. I have a towel on the table, as you can see, so that I don't scratch the table or the iMac, both of which I do not want. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's flip the Mac on its back. Make sure that everything is in the shot. I'm actually going to rotate the Mac this way so that I have the best access to it. So let's grab a knife and open up the package with my part in it, and let's get into the video. Okay, I have a knife. Here's a package with a piece in it. Where's the front? Both sides are the front. Okay, well, all sides are the front. Let's open this up. I'm being very careful not to damage this piece because I don't have the money to buy another piece. So, being very careful not to break it. Okay, so it should be in all this bubble wrap. Okay, I'm gonna put the box off to the side. Plastic off to the side. Just want to be very, very careful not to damage it. So I'm just gonna grab it by the sides, making sure not to touch any of the components because that would not be fun. Okay, so this is the LCD driver board. Now let's hope it didn't get damaged in shipping. So I'm just gonna lie it down on something. I'm gonna put it over here so that it's there when I need it. Throw the styrofoam off. And let's get into this iMac. So I'm actually using the iFixit ProTech toolkit from, of course, iFixit. This is really the only toolkit that I use when I do repairs. So yeah, just want to remove the LCD, not the LCD, sorry, the front glass panel. So you just need suction cup. It's all magnets, so you don't need to worry about getting adhesive. So let's just pop that off. Now these are very strong magnets, so you might have to get a nail under there. Perfect. And be very careful not to bend the glass in a way that it would break. So you really want to be very careful with this. So you want to pull it up and out because you can see it has hooks here. So I'm going to go and I'm going to put this in a very safe place so that it doesn't fall, get broken, get stepped on, or any or all of those things. So I'll be right back to do the LCD part. Okay, now that we're here, we should have 4 Torx screws to remove. So see, I have my Torx, which is a 6-point star bit. I'm not sure if you can actually see that, but let's get in there. These screws want to stick to the LCD and the magnets. So you want to keep these screws in a very safe place. If you're not very good at remembering where every screw goes, I suggest putting them in a little pattern, how they came out of the Mac. And be very careful not to scratch the display of the iMac. So when you're bringing the screws off or out of the iMac, bring them away. And even if you're, I'm not sure if you saw, but I had my hand here to kind of, as I was lifting, to push it away, so that if my hand had some weird spasm, my other hand was ready to move it away so that it didn't scratch the LCD. No one wants to scratch the LCD. you can see, screw stuck to the magnet, which flung it to the side. So there's another good example of why to keep your hand there. These are really strong magnets. Okay, there we go. Here's another screw. Now, these drivers, these have a magnetic tip to them, so they do stay on these, but the magnetic bits of the LCD are stronger than the magnets in the screwdriver. So sometimes the screws stay on, sometimes they just shoot to the magnets built into the Mac. So that's just something to keep in mind. I will link this driver kit down below so that you can find it. Okay, now that we have removed the torque screws, we need to remove this display from the assembly. When you lift it up, there are connectors in there that you really do not want to rip. So be very careful. You only want to lift it a little bit just to make sure that you can disconnect all of the cables in there, and then you can lift it out. This is quite recessed in there, so if I can get this in there without damaging it, that'd be amazing. And everything you do here, just be very careful not to damage the aluminum, because aluminum is a very soft metal, so be very careful not to damage it. So any prying that you might have to do, like I did here, be very careful not to dent the aluminum. So I'm actually getting down on my knees right now so that I can get eye level with it, so that I know where these cables are. Well, I kind of know where these are. You guys can't see this, but there is one connector connected to the LCD driver board. I will show you where these are connected once I get it completely out. Also, very careful not to touch the power supply. If you touch this power supply, you could get severely shocked and possibly die. Don't do that. Okay, we got one connected to the logic board, another one connected to the LCD driver board, and another one way back there that I believe is a heat sensor that I also have to disconnect that. All of these do not rip or tear or disconnect improperly. Be very careful and know the types of clips that these are before going in to do the repair, so you know how to safely disconnect them. Okay, so there's two. I need a flashlight. There we go. And be very careful not to drop your LCD back, because that'll also be a problem. And the least amount of problems, the better. Okay, they're all done. I'm gonna grab this LCD. I'm gonna yank it out of there. No, I'm just kidding, don't yank it out. Very carefully pull towards you and up, making sure that all the connectors are disconnected. Okay, so I'm just gonna go put this to the side so that it doesn't get broken. Now that that is done, you can see, oh, this is actually quite clean. But you can see this is the hard drive. This is the CD drive, which you can actually put another drive in there if you want to have more storage. And you have your fans in here. You'll have your graphics behind here. This should be your graphics card right here. Then you have your logic board and your heat pipe type thing there. But we don't care about all. I mean, we do care about that. We don't want it to break. But we actually are trying to get this replaced. This is the driver board. So let's turn off my flashlight and remove all of the screws from the driver board. So are they the same? Be very careful not to touch the power supply, which is right there. I will show you where all those connectors went. that I had to disconnect. If you're trying to follow along, chances of you actually need to do this are slim. I had one connector here, one connector here, I had one connector here, another connector here. So those were all the connectors that I needed to do to take it out. So now that we have disconnected our driver board, we're going to carefully lift it up and out, making sure not to pull too hard because we have a 6-pin connector right here that we need to disconnect. Very carefully lift it out. Now that that is out, we are going to disconnect this 6-pin connector. It's kind of in an awkward angle, but you can see we have a 6-pin connector right here that we need to disconnect, but be very careful not to rip any of these cables. So just ever so carefully unclip it. Now it is a tight fit, so there we go. So you can see that's a 6-pin, this is the board, and here's a closer look at the corrosion I was talking about on there. So that's not good. It should not be like a red brown. So now that that's disconnected, you can put that to the side, and from there just do everything in reverse. Just double checking this is the same piece because this one looks different. And we'll see pretty quickly when we connect it if it's the right one. There's a connector right here that I had to disconnect, right here that I had to disconnect to get the display out, and that's a 6-pin. So in case you missed that, there's the recap. So we're just going to very carefully, making sure not to touch power supply, we're going to connect this 6-pin back into the new board. Now we are going to carefully lower the board back into its spot to be screwed in. And now we're going to grab our 4 screws. These screws are all the same size. Oh. Let's hope that connects again. I can see that this part actually has some bent pins right here, so we'll have to make sure that those connect. Anyway, as I was saying, these screws I believe are all the same on each side, so they should all go back interchangeably. But just as a safety precaution, we're going to put them in the spots that we took them from. And make sure not to over tighten these screws, because if you over tighten them you could crack the board. Okay, now that's all connected, we're going to go grab our display, reconnect it all, and we will be ready to go and we can try booting it up. Which reminds me, I didn't grab a power cable, so I'll have to go grab that too. Let's go connect the LCD back together. In case this wasn't clear before, everything you do should be done with the utmost care and attention to detail, because if not, you have the risk of lots of things happening, the worst of which could be death, so be very careful. Okay, now very carefully align and set the display back into place. And there you go, now you have set it back in. Let's turn off the flashlight. Sorry if that was shining in your guys' eyes. Try not to. Okay, that's off. Now you can grab your Torx screw, either screwdriver, excuse me, or screw bit. what I like to do when I'm screwing them back in is more or less go in a star pattern. I mean, you can't really go in a true star pattern because there's 4 on that side and 4 on that side. But as much as possible, try and do it diagonally. So you can say I did the top corner, now the bottom corner, and I'm going to move on over to this side. Also be very careful not to stab your screwdriver or your screw into the display. We want to keep that as clean and scratch free as possible. And as much as possible, try not to touch the LCD because smudges are a lot harder to get off than just some dust. Dust, you can just blow that off. Okay, so before I put the front glass back on, I'm just going to tip the display back up and we are going to see if it boots. And fingers crossed it boots. I'm going to go grab a cable and we're just going to make sure that this boots. I will be right back. I'm sorry, top-down camera, but we're moving it so that it reaches. Okay guys, moment of truth. See if I can get this so the camera can see it. Press the button on the back. I'm gonna go grab a keyboard and a mouse to see if the display will actually go higher. I'll be right back. Keyboard is downstairs. I have a keyboard. This isn't my keyboard. I stole it from another Mac in our house. Okay, moment of truth. We did it. Now let's see if it actually stays. Because if it doesn't, that means that there's another problem with our Mac. And if there's another problem with the Mac, that's a problem. Well, it looks like it's working. If it shuts off randomly, I will give you guys an update, but it's not. So I'm gonna shut it down, and we're gonna move any dust from the screen, any smudges from the display, and we're gonna stick the front panel back onto the Mac, and we will move back downstairs. Yeah, fun fact, if you hold down Control, Option, Command on the keyboard, and then hit the power button on the back, it'll shut down. See? Look at that. The fan has gone off and now the display is off, so yeah. I'm sorry if my audio is kind of bad. I'm still working on getting a proper mic, like either like a lav mic or like a desktop mic. So I'm sorry. I'm trying my best, guys. But I'm working with what I got, and it seems to be decent. I'm gonna go grab a microfiber cloth. It's just a Costco brand microfiber cloth. Let's go grab the glass front panel. Be very careful not to drop this, because that would be a problem. Okay, so let's just slide this in. And looks like all these smudges are on the outside of the glass, which is perfect. Thanks for watching, and I will see you back downstairs. Okay, welcome back to my bedroom. So, you saw upstairs, it turned on successfully at that, and I brought this down to my room again, hooked all of my peripherals back up, so that should all be working now. Just to double check, let's boot it on. There's the bong. And there we go. So it should be in verbose mode now. There we go. So there's my background. Just bring my mouse over here. Yeah, brightness is working, so that's good. Yeah, keyboard seems to be working. Thanks for watching. Again, thank you so much for the last 2 videos I've uploaded. Those ones have done really well, and I just can't thank you enough for that. Like, comment, share with your friends if you have any suggestions for any videos you want me to do, anything you want me to review or do repairs on. Leave a comment down below and I will get to them as soon as I'm able to, or as soon as I have the parts or product to do the requested videos on. So yeah, have a nice day and enjoy your summer. Give me my flashlight.